Well, everybody's gathered here now. There's only minutes to go before they actually head out. Rockers, how are you feeling?
Feeling excited, trying to stay focused and cool, staying away from the sun. Looks like we spent a lot of time on the sun on this one leg, so yeah, trying to keep my coolness inside because it looks like a very challenging leg. The forecast is like we had the meetings this morning, couple of hours, still trying to figure out which way to go. It looks like technically it's going to be a very, very interesting leg, so looking forward to it.
What was your main point in the team briefing this morning?
Stay light, keep as little stuff as you can, try to lighten the boat as possible within the rules, and yeah, try to relax, get into the rhythm, try to work with the boat balance with your weight moving forward and off, just trying to keep the boat fast at all times.
And don't expect too much sleep.
Exactly.
Good luck.
Thank you guys, see you in Genova.
Simeon, how are you feeling?
Yeah, all good.
It's looking light.
Looking very light. Well, typical, I think, in this period of the Mediterranean. So, but it will be interesting, And I think not much long-term strategy. Just take it bit by bit, and so we feel comfortable. Yeah, looking forward to it.
How important is it to stay with? I guess staying with the pack and not being greedy is probably the key of this leg, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and I think in the last two legs it was a good reminder for us as well. Sometimes when you're a new team, it's good to sail your own race. I think that we did that a little bit the last two legs, and not always choose the easiest option where we thought we really played it a little bit on the weather. But at the end of the day, I think the conclusion for us is as well, and looking back at the 17-18 race, it's a match race around the world. So, staying with the pack and chip away, be confident of your own bone speed. Everyone's gonna win and lose some, and we just have to do our best. And a very talented group of Dutch sailors. So.
And I guess it looks like you're standing here making sure they don't sneak any books or extra food onto the boat, making it heavy.
I don't have to worry about that. They're pretty competitive. They're more watching me, how much I have in my bag. Yeah, no, they're doing a great job. They're very eager, they're very keen, and that's very nice to see. They're the future of the race, right?
Brilliant.
So, and they want to make it happen, so that's a good start, and I'm really looking forward. We can have a really good leg.
We're looking forward to having a good leg. I think you deserve one now.
Thank you
very much. Good luck.
Much.
See you in Genova.
Yeah, good luck.
Good to see you. Yeah, good to see you. All ready to go. I hear you've been down here since 7 o'clock this morning looking at the weather.
Just joined the team and the boat not so long ago. So also getting myself familiar with the systems and everything, and checking that everything is up and running. But obviously also looking at the weather, which looks pretty tricky for this leg.
Excited to be here?
Yeah, very excited to be here. As I'd said before, I just came to say hi to Chuni and the guys, and ended up doing the next leg. So I'm very excited to do it.
Yeah, and what do you think? I mean, you've got so many miles around the world in this kind of racing and these kind of boats. What's going to be the key on this leg? It's going to be so tricky.
Yeah, it's very tricky. There's a big decision to make whether to go south or north of the Balearic Islands, and when to cross the reach of high pressure. That basically it's light winds around the islands, around Ibiza, Mallorca. That's the big decision, and there could be some big splits north and south, and models keep changing their minds. Some of them, one day they tell you go north, next day they tell you go south. So we'll have to see what we get.
How do you play the sort of balance between making your own moves and covering the fleet in a fleet that is so closely matched?
Yeah, it depends on how sure you are of what the weather's going to do. This is typically a very uncertain case, so you tend to probably play more with the fleet and not to do any toss the coin or any flyers. But if you're sure or more certain about your strategy, then you can push more for your option and just forget about the fleet.
Good stuff. Well, good luck, and well, who knows? They might take you on holiday next year as well.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Good morning.
Morning. How are you going?
All
You
good.
well?
Yeah, all good.
Well rested?
Yep. Ready to go.
All ready to go. What are you expecting?
A decent start with some breeze, but then the breeze will drop, and then it's going to be a floating game, waiting, finding the right shift or the right breeze, and then get to Genova.
You've had a bit of a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster in the first 2 legs, haven't you? How's the team found that?
Of course, the win of the first leg was unexpected, and we had to digest it. And the second leg was good for us, basically. So we sailed to our potential, and we learned a lot. So we are ready for this one.
What do you think? You say you learned a lot. What do you think the biggest thing that you've learned so far is as a team?
Obviously, working together, finding the roles on board. Also, boat speed. You know, the best way to learn the boat speed is just sail next to another 65, and if you see it. If you change something in the trim and you see it's better, then yeah, that's what you learn.
And you've rotated quite a lot of crew, haven't you? Because part of this exercise is about finding the next generation of young offshore sailors. How's that been going?
Actually quite well. I'm really surprised how good everybody managed the constant change in crew. Because I can imagine that it's hard for the new ones to step on board, especially after a win. You know, expectations are high, so we really had to basically start from zero. But everybody's doing their best, and they all are showing that they're good sailors. And they all, you know, their big goal is to go to the ocean race. So yeah, I'm happy with the results so far.
Excellent, good. Well, we wish you well.
Have
a good race.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. So this is tricky, isn't it? What's the mood on board?
No, everyone's pretty good, pretty positive. Would have been nicer to have a nicer first leg and potentially be in a bit more of a comfortable position, but it's competition, and sort of what we all strive for and live for is to have this close fight at the top end. So that's pretty cool, and I think the leg's going to be pretty interesting because there's effectively no marks and no waypoints, no obligations in the leg. It's just to get there basically, and with the weather forecast, there's a lot of options. So I think for tracking, it's probably going to be better than potentially on board for the stress levels. But especially with the points so tight, if a boat just goes off on a flyer and comes good, you can't really do anything about that. So.
But do you think that'll happen, or do you think people will tend to stay together?
It's hard to say. I think probably the top 4 boats will try and stay with each other, I would have thought, and then potentially the guys a bit further back might just sort of flip a coin and say, well, bugger it, let's go for it and see what happens. But it's hard to know. There's all the routings we've been doing. There's a lot of options, and then even within the options, there's a lot of options again. So. Yeah.
Can you drive yourself mad with that eventually?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of that. I think when it's a forecast like this, I think you just got to obviously do all the routings, look at the weather, and then it's a bit gut feeling on what you actually think is the right call, and then managing the fleet on top of that. So difficult to make a call sometimes if you're pretty committed to one option and then the rest of the fleet tack or go another way. It's hard to manage that, but that's part of the game. So
I guess you've got to stay flexible, really,
yeah,
mentally,
exactly.
haven't you?
Yeah.
I mean, we hear a lot in the Olympics where I hear a lot of people sort of saying, well, I don't look at the weather forecast too much because I don't want to have a preconceived plan in my head and then execute what I do. I need to look out the boat. I guess that's even more true with this.
Yeah, it's definitely, and especially in a one design fleet where it's not like potentially in the mockers where there's a certain boat that knows they're going to be 2 knots quicker on a certain wind angle or certain wind speed. It's these boats, to a certain degree, everyone's fairly even, so you can't really afford to take too much risk at times, and especially in the last leg where the points are so close, there's a bit of that. So it's a bit of risk management versus gut feeling versus.
And I hear there's a bit of a potential hurdle along the way, and there's a GPS jamming zone, isn't there, somewhere? Will that affect you on this leg?
I don't think so. It could be a bit weird. I think it's sort of in a fairly open area, and I think when we're there, the weather will be what it'll be. I think once you're there, you're not going to commit too much one way or the other. It's sort of a straight line at that point. But the thing I don't know is how far it's out. If the boats are effectively in the position they're in and then just offset by a few hundred meters, or if it's complete nonsense, I really don't know. So it could come into play. It's potentially also a nice black zone or a tracker off zone, effectively, where depending on how far things are out, you could do something and the rest of the fleet wouldn't know about it because the GPS is lying. So and the AIS effectively is lowing as well. So it should be interesting to see if we end up in that.
And you're going to have to hold, if it does go a bit funky, you're going to have to hold your nerve, aren't you? Because you might be seeing boats doing weird things that they're not actually doing.
Exactly, yeah. So there's a bit of that, a bit of management, and I think the whole fleet knows that area could be a bit funky, so we'll have to just cross that bridge when we come to it.
I'm quite looking forward to that bit now you've explained it.
Should be entertaining if nothing else.
Good luck.
Cool.
See you later. Mate. Cheers. Just finished your team briefing. Go on then, spill the beans. What was in
it? Yeah, it's like, we've got some decisions to make once after we round to Barca. So, you know, there's a little sea breeze up the Spanish coast a bit further to chase tomorrow afternoon. But, you know, there's a question, how do we get there through quite a light air zone, or we step out further to the east? I think we'll probably get another weather model in after we round to Barca and start heading up. But you know, like, we're just trying to, you know, two different routing softwares are giving different solutions. So yeah, I don't know. You know, after I've mumbled all that out, I don't know yet. But we'll get to it. I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards probably chasing a sea breeze. A little bit of that's because we have the new A4 spinnaker on board, and it's even though we've updated our performance numbers on it, it's usually doing a little bit better than what we think. So that may push it a little bit more in that corner.
Eyes out of the boat as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like, there's going to be careful what we trust in terms of the weather models, and always, you know, have a plan B and C if it's not going, because I think you'll be able to react and still take a slightly different option, maybe reduce the losses or increase the gains a little.
How? I mean, there's going to be breeze at the start, as we understand. Does that present an opportunity to try and break away from the fleet? And if so, would that be an advantage to try and get an early lead?
I think you know, you always want to be on the front foot doing well. But yeah, you know, there's going to be lots of opportunities. I think it'll, you know, everyone's got these big decisions to make, so you kind of think, oh gee, I've got a bit on, but no, you haven't. Everyone has.
Good. Well, good luck with it.
Thanks, guys.
See you in Genova.
Yep, you bet.